going to be many ups and downs. It's going to be a learning curve, but I think it's going to help me and kind of make the adjustment pretty fast.
Jalen Hood-Schifino, born June 19, 2003. When the Los Angeles Lakers selected Jalen Hood-Schifino with the 17th overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the franchise believed it was investing in its next floor general of the future. He was tall for a point guard at 6'5", mature beyond his years, and carried himself with the calm, methodical confidence of someone who'd ran an offense before. At Indiana, he looked like a player built for longevity. Strong mid-range game, patient pace, and a steady defensive presence. The Lakers envisioned grooming him behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis until the time to pass the torch. But instead of becoming the franchise's next homegrown guard, Hood-Schifino quickly became another reminder of how the NBA devours potential when circumstances don't align. Before he could find rhythm or confidence, his rookie year derailed. A preseason knee injury sidelined him for months, robbing him of valuable development minutes. When he finally returned, the Lakers were in win-now mode, leaning on veterans and fighting for playoff seeding, leaving no space for a rookie who needed reps to figure things out. He played in just 21 games, averaging under 6 minutes, often entering during garbage time when the result was already decided. His jump shot didn't translate, his handle looked too slow for NBA defenders, and his confidence disappeared with every DNP next to his name. By year 2, the excitement around his potential was gone. Los Angeles traded for guards who fit their immediate timeline, and Hood-Schifino's name was quietly removed from the conversation. What was once described as a patient development plan turned into exile to the G League, where even there he struggled to stand out. A first-round pick less than 2 seasons ago, now on the verge of being forgotten before his career truly began. In fairness, Hood-Schifino's game was never flashy. He wasn't the type to dominate highlights or blow by defenders with elite athleticism, but he did seem to have the potential to be something. His strengths required structure, trust, and time. 3 things the Lakers didn't have to offer a young guard in their current window. But in today's NBA, patience is scarce and reputations form quickly. From being viewed as the Lakers' point guard of the future to fighting for his basketball life in the G League, Jalen Hood-Schifino's story shows how fragile opportunity can be. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Jalen Hood-Schifino is a 6'5" point guard from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who rose through several elite prep programs before reaching the NBA. He began at Northside Christian in North Carolina, then Combine Academy before transferring to Montverde Academy in Florida, the same school that produced stars like Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes. At Montverde, he became a 5-star recruit, known for his composure, mid-range scoring, and two-way potential. Choosing Indiana, Hood-Schifino made an instant impact as a freshman, averaging 13.5 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game. His poise and maturity led him to win Big Ten Freshman of the Year and push Indiana back into national conversations. Scouts praised his patience and NBA-ready frame, projecting him as a long-term floor general. The Lakers selected him 17th overall in 2023, believing they'd found their future point guard. But his transition to the pros was anything but smooth. Stunt number 1, drafted into the wrong situation. When Jalen Hood-Schifino was drafted by the Lakers, it seemed like an ideal match, a composed young guard joining a veteran team that could teach him the pace and poise needed to thrive in the NBA. But in reality, Los Angeles was the worst possible destination for his development. The franchise was built around LeBron James and Anthony Davis, operating in a constant state of urgency. They didn't have the time or structure to nurture a methodical rookie guard who needed reps and patience to grow. From day one, Hood-Schifino entered a system that demanded immediate impact in a role where mistakes aren't tolerated. The Lakers' offense revolved around spacing and shooting, 2 areas where Hood-Schifino wasn't ready to contribute. His game was based on rhythm, size, and mid-range control, tools that required touches and a defined role to shine. Instead, he was stuck behind established guards like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, and later Gabe Vincent, with little chance to experiment or fail. The few times he did see the floor, it was in short bursts, often during blowouts, with the pressure of proving himself in limited minutes. That kind of environment can break confidence faster than it builds it. By the end of his rookie season, the Lakers had already shifted focus toward win-now moves, and Hood-Schifino quietly became an afterthought. What should have been a year of development turned into stagnation and lots of missed development opportunities as he bounced between the end of the bench and brief G League stints. It wasn't necessarily his fault, he just landed on a team that valued results over growth. Many promising players have disappeared the same way, drafted by contenders who saw them as depth instead of projects. For Hood-Schifino, being chosen by the Lakers didn't elevate him, it buried him. Stunt number 2, injuries stole his rhythm and confidence. Even before Jalen Hood-Schifino had a chance to show what he could become, injuries began to disrupt his rookie journey. A right patella contusion during preseason camp sidelined him for several weeks, and by the time he returned, the rotation was already set. For a young guard whose game depends on rhythm and flow, missing that early stretch of adjustment time proved devastating. He never found consistency in his minutes, confidence in his shot, or comfort within the Lakers' system. Every time he started to gain traction, another setback or DNP wiped away any progress made, further draining his momentum. The difference between a rookie developing steadily and one slipping through the cracks often comes down to timing. For Hood-Schifino, his timing couldn't have been worse. By the time he got on the floor, Los Angeles was deep in the playoff race, making every possession meaningful. The team needed stability, not growing pains, and his early struggles from the field, including shooting just 32% overall and 12% from 3, made it harder for coaches to justify more opportunities. Instead of gaining confidence, his brief appearances seemed to erode it. His rhythm, once a strength at Indiana, was replaced by hesitation and overthinking. You could see it in his body language. A player once known for controlling tempo suddenly looked unsure of where to be or when to attack. The injury didn't just cost him games, it cost him trust from the coaching staff and belief in himself. For many young players, confidence is the difference between surviving and fading. Without consistent minutes or a support system that allowed him to make mistakes, Hood-Schifino's first season turned into a cycle of doubt, recovery, and lost rhythm that still lingers today, a reminder that timing, health, and opportunity must align perfectly to grow. Stunt number 3, the modern NBA left him behind. Jalen Hood-Schifino entered the league with an old-school game built around size, patience, and the mid-range, a style that looked refined in college but quickly outdated in today's NBA. Guards today are expected to either stretch the floor from 3 or explode downhill with elite athleticism. Hood-Schifino did neither. His pace was deliberate, his jumper streaky, and his handle too predictable to separate from faster defenders. In an era driven by pace and space, his strengths didn't fit the league's direction, and he never adjusted fast enough to survive it. At Indiana, that measured tempo worked. In the pros, it made him look like he was playing underwater. Defenders beat him to spots, and his inability to create easy paint touches forced him into contested pull-ups, shots that once looked smooth but now seemed inefficient. Without a reliable three-point shot or the burst to finish through contact, he himself became predictable. Opponents simply went under screens, daring him to shoot. What made matters worse is how quickly narratives form around players like him. Once labeled a slow, non-athletic guard who can't shoot, it's hard to shake that perception in a results-based league. His confidence faded as the game sped up around him, and even in the G League, where he's trying to rebuild, the same challenges remain: decision-making, speed, shooting consistency, and adapting to the modern rhythm of basketball. The NBA no longer rewards players who play the game at their own pace unless that pace dominates. Hood-Schifino's calm became his curse, seen as passive instead of poised, deliberate instead of confident. The league evolved while he was still adjusting, and without a signature skill to lean on, the transition swallowed him whole. If he doesn't modernize his game soon, his NBA journey may already be at its end. All in all, Jalen Hood-Schifino's story shows how fast the NBA can move on from promise. He had the size, maturity, and demeanor that teams usually value in a young guard, but none of it mattered once the light turned bright. Drafted to a team that didn't have the time or structure to develop him, slowed by injury before he ever gained rhythm, and lacking the elite athleticism or shooting touch the modern game demands, the path that once looked stable quickly crumbled. Still, his journey isn't over. Hood-Schifino is only 22 years old, and his foundation as a poised, unselfish player could resurface in the right environment. He'll need to reinvent himself, tighten his jumper, play faster, and rediscover the confidence that made him special at Indiana, because the talent is there. It's just been buried beneath mistiming, mismatch roles, and a league that rarely wants to wait for growth. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.